Welcome back to Reddit Updates Us. Let's get into today's saga. This story comes from Am I the AH? Am I the AH for making my girlfriend leave the country? I, 28 male, have been dating my girlfriend, 27 female, for 5 years. We met in college where she was an international student. She started working after graduating while I am currently doing a master's. Her company was sponsoring her visa until they got bought out and she got laid off. She was given a limited time to find a new employer to sponsor her a new visa, and it really stressed her out. She was applying to jobs every day and did a lot of interviews but unfortunately wasn't able to get an offer. She really wanted to stay since she loves the place and I would still be here in the country. While I was out with a buddy, he suggested that I sponsor her visa since we have been in a relationship for quite some time. I love her and I didn't want to see her so stressed out. I told her about the idea. She was hesitant at first. She said she didn't want me to think that she was with me so I could be her way to a permanent residence/citizenship to the country. I wanted her to stay and I wanted to do it. We consulted an immigration consultant and decided to do the paperwork on our own. She was the one who mostly looked into the stuff we needed to prepare. She still applied for jobs but not as urgently as she used to. It took a while since we never really had anything joint. We lived together and just split the bills on our own. She had enough saved up to be okay for a while. I had to fill out some paperwork to be her sponsor and I felt uneasy about it. I did want her to stay but it felt like it was too much. Eventually, she was done with her part and all that was left was mine. I finally told her that I didn't want to go through with it. She was very upset and asked why. I told her that I suggested the idea because I didn't want to see her stressed out all the time, and that I eventually realized that I shouldn't have to be responsible for her. We had a long talk where I told her that I still want to be in a relationship with her but I just don't want to force to be responsible for her. She said she felt very hurt by what I said. Things changed and she didn't really talk to me after. She kept applying for jobs and attending interviews but eventually her visa expired. Before she left, I told her I love her and that I would really want her to come back. However, she told me that she sees me differently after the things I told her. It has been a few weeks since she left. I miss her cooking, her presence, and being able to spend time with her. I still want a future with her. However, our close friends have been telling me that I was an AH. I disagree and I think they are biased. So, here I am, asking what Reddit thinks. Ida? And here's an edit from OP. I have read through a lot of comments and everyone seems to think I'm the AH here. To those asking what my responsibilities would be, I would have to be financially responsible for her for 3 years. If she gets any government assistance or social welfare, I would have to pay it back. I also can't sponsor anyone else until the 3 years have passed. Also, I listed what I missed about her in no particular order. I listed that I miss her cooking first, but it doesn't mean I don't miss her. To the people who said I'm probably an immigrant too, what does that have to do with anything? My parents moved to where we are now, so here I am. I still stand by what I said. No one I know has to do anything like this. It just doesn't feel normal. I would want to eventually have a home with her, but I don't think anyone should have to be responsible for another person's decisions or their circumstances. It's just gaslighting if you convince someone that they should be. I don't know if anyone will see this edit since it has been a few days. I have updates, so I'll probably do a separate post about it when I have time. And now on to the update. I talked to her over the weekend. She didn't have time to sell her car before leaving, so she contacted me saying she did some paperwork to transfer the car to me. I do understand that she felt hurt, so I told her that I would buy a plane ticket to go see her. She had never once went back to her home country after moving away, so I've never visited her home country. I wanted to show that I am very serious about her and that I am still committed, so I wanted to fly over to visit and talk things out. She immediately turned me down, saying that flight tickets are expensive and that I still have work. I begged her to let me, and she eventually said that she couldn't forget the stuff that happened, and that she couldn't come back from it. I explained my side again and that while I understand that she is hurt, I shouldn't be forced to take responsibility for her, and that I hoped she would be understanding of that. The conversation was long. She said she could never trust me again. She said I never saw a future with her from the start, and that I abandoned her. She said it wasn't just about the sponsorship, but it played a big part in it. In the end, she told me that she still loved me, but she doesn't think we should be together. To clarify a couple of things. Yes, no one I know has to do anything like this. No one I know has to make the decision of whether or not to sponsor a visa. I don't think it's fair for anyone to have to take on this much responsibility, and saying that they should feels like gaslighting. Relationships shouldn't be this hard, and having to do something like that doesn't feel normal. For those of you who called me an asshole, how many of you actually have to make a decision like I did? How many of you would actually go through with sponsoring a partner's visa? That seems to be the end of this tale. OP hasn't posted any other updates, but we'll keep an eye out for more. Now, for our second story of the day. Am I the AH for purposefully booking the same wedding venue as my sister, but earlier, so I could get married there first? I can admit that my viewpoint is pretty one-sided, but my actions have divided my family, so I figured I could get some outside perspective. My sister and I don't get along. I can be honest and admit that she's much prettier than me, and that's something she's never let me forget. Both of my parents are pretty shallow and they've always given her the best and put her first, i.e. if we both had a school event at the same time, they'd both go to hers. This has left me pretty bitter and distant from my family. My boyfriend of 5 years recently proposed, and I was super over the moon. And straight out of a bad rom-com script, my sister got engaged right afterwards. It didn't really faze me other than serve as a slight nuisance since my parents were more happy and involved with her engagement. My mom's been helping her plan, but couldn't help me because my sister needed more help and she couldn't devote me the time I deserved. Don't feel bad for me though, because my mother-in-law is a godsend and super sweet and genuinely treats me with so much love. Anyways, what really pushed me over the edge was when my sister told me that she booked her wedding at my dream venue. I know it sounds so annoying and cheesy, but I really cared about this location. It was sentimental to me. My grandparents got married there, and I've talked about wanting to get married there as far back as high school when I was just daydreaming. I know my sister doesn't give a F about my grandparents, but when I brought it up my parents told me to stop being so petty. In a fit of actual pettiness, I ended up booking the same venue a month before my sister's wedding. I checked with the venue and there's no way my sister can move the wedding up, they're booked up, and if she changes venues she'll lose her deposit. My mother recently reached out to me and implored me to talk to my sister. I blocked her after the first call where she tried to ream me out. Apparently my sister's really distraught and my mom said the least I could do was try and work something out with my sister, especially over such a huge event. I said no, but my mom said I was off for not even trying to hear her out and for being so stubborn and petty. I know my mom is biased, but it got me thinking because I've been pretty staunch about ignoring her calls and some of my cousins have told me that she seems genuinely upset. I'm not sure whether or not I was right or if I am being a giant AH by being so stubborn. I do want to add that I'm wondering if I'm being the AH for ignoring my sister, not really for booking the venue. My sister flat out told my cousin that she couldn't care less about the venue and booked it because it was convenient. But suddenly when I want to get married there too it means the world to her? I think not. My grandparents practically raised me since my parents were always missing out on my life events, so it was G-Ma and G-Pa who came to support me. I was always going to get married there one way or another. And now on to the update. Hi. I wanted to share an update for this. Have been kind enough to ask. I don't know who will see this or how it works, but I'll copy and paste just in case. I appreciate everyone who took the time to comment. Both the positive and negative comments opened my eyes. I spent my entire life being bullied by my family, and when I had comments from internet strangers roll in trying to make excuses and defend my sister for trying to make my wedding planning all about her, I realized that I would never win in the sense of doing the right thing. I talked it over with my fiancé and he basically said, "You're literally never happy when you talk about your family. Why do you keep putting yourself through that?" So, I decided to try talking to them one last time before going NC, just so I wouldn't have any regrets. Most of you could probably guess what happened. My sister said that if I got married at the same venue as her I'd steal her thunder and that I was selfish for making my own wedding all about me. I countered with the fact that I've been talking about getting married here for over a decade, so why would she think I wouldn't get married there too? Only for my sister to reply that the venue would be a waste on me because there was no way I could ever plan a wedding as beautiful as hers. Like WTF? The final straw was when my parents offered to pay for my entire wedding if I moved it. My parents, who couldn't be bothered to show up to my engagement party, because my sister planned hers for the next day and they'd need time to help her prep, suddenly wanted to pay tens of thousands of dollars just to make my sister happy. I think that kind of broke me. Long story short, I told them that effective immediately I was done being their punching bag and that they were no longer welcome at my wedding or in my life. They tried to play the sympathy card on social media crying about how I divided the family, but my grandparents really came to bat for me. They basically made their own post shading my mom, their daughter, saying that they were so thrilled to see their granddaughter who they raised get married at their venue, and that my grandpa would be walking me down the aisle. That pretty much shut up most of my extended family. My cousin also let me know that my sister gave up her deposit in favor of changing the venue, Which made me feel like it was proof that it was never about the venue and just about taking something that mattered to me. I wouldn't have cared if we married at the same place though. I feel like I made the right decision because I've just felt so much lighter since. My fiancé is also happy that I'm happy. That's all we have for today. Thank you for joining us. If you enjoyed this video, feel free to like and subscribe. It really helps the channel. See you next time on Reddit Updates Us.